Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
It's no secret that superhero movies have struggled for a while now. The once bulletproof reputation of the MCU no longer stands, and DC literally had to reboot itself. After a considerable number of stinkers though, 2025 could be the year we finally saw the first traces of light at the end of the tunnel. I think, or really I hope, that both Marvel and DC have finally learned their lessons. The movies we got this year are making me optimistic. DC has James Gunn overseeing everything now, and Marvel has announced they're doing that quality over quantity thing after things went off the rails. So here's hoping. There aren't going to be other superhero movies until next year, so let's talk about the ones we got this year. We got Captain America: Brave New World, Thunderbolts, Superman, and Fantastic Four: First Steps. My opinions largely haven't changed, so if you've seen my reviews for these films, you will know what I'll say. But it's fun to see them all compared to each other, you know? I'm going to talk about the movie first, then give it a rating out of 5 based on 3 factors. I will then put the movie in a tier list at the end of each one, and at the end of the overall video, I will rank them in order. Let's get into it. First up, we've got Captain America: Brave New World. I'm not going to shock anybody by saying that this is objectively the worst out of all of these films. I like Sam, and I am so for him as the new Captain America. Love the concept. But Marvel did him so dirty with this movie. Brave New World doesn't have the thematic cohesion and the emotional resonance of Thunderbolts. It doesn't have the charm and the aesthetic appeal of Fantastic Four, and it doesn't have the optimism of Superman.
This is not the picture you took.
Oh, I sent you the wrong picture.
Oh, my Lord.
Did Taurus send his dick pic to Isaiah?
Oh, my Lord.
Funnily enough, I do think that Brave New World isn't that much far off from the other MCU films, quality-wise. Don't get me wrong, I am an MCU fan, but there are a lot of mid-entries in our beloved franchise. I think Brave New World is more or less on par with Thor: The Dark World, or Ant-Man and the Wasp, or Captain Marvel even, as much as I love Carol. So it's no surprise that some people liked Brave New World well enough and had fun with it, and I love that for them. I did have some fun with the Celestial Island flight sequences in this movie, and I also did enjoy Sam's final showdown with Red Hulk. And again, I like Sam. I like seeing him as a character. I enjoy watching him on screen. I also really like Isaiah Bradley. I felt so bad for what happened to him in this movie, and that's good. The movie succeeded in making me feel something. But besides Isaiah Bradley, nothing else from Brave New World evoked any type of feeling from me. Except for Ruth. She may have evoked annoyance. One of the problems with this movie, though, is that it's designed as a thriller, structurally. It has this through line of trying to make the audience wonder about what's going on with President Ross. It's setting up this big reveal about this big mystery about him, and well, we all already know. Every piece of marketing for this film spoils that he becomes the Red Hulk. This movie also has this other mystery of the identity of the person behind the mind control that happened to Isaiah. And that mystery has a deeply unsatisfying and impotent answer. Surprise! It's the guy from The Incredible Hulk nobody asked for. So you have this movie with a mystery everyone already knows the answer to, and a mystery with an unsatisfying answer. That sounds like a formula for a great cinematic experience to me. Another problem this movie had is the fact that it went through significant changes with its rewrites and reshoots. It's not a coincidence that this movie is the first one that released this year. It started development and started filming before the other Marvel movies that came out in 2025, meaning it is still technically a product of Marvel before they did their refocusing from quantity to quality, meaning a lot of the choices made for this movie when it began production were choices made by a Kevin Feige that was overworked and spread thin. This movie began as a product of the same MCU that created Secret Invasion and Quantumania. So yeah, not surprising. They tried to save this movie with the rewrites and the reshoots, but I don't know if it worked as well as they hoped for. If this is the good version of this movie, how shitty was the bad version? I want to know. Multiple scenes, entire characters, and plot lines were cut. For example, we have behind-the-scenes content confirming that the Serpent Society were originally going to play a bigger role in the movie, that Rosa Salazar was going to be in it. We have this photo of Isaiah Bradley's stunt double, meaning at one point he was going to have a suit in the movie. They better give Sam another Captain America film because he deserves it. But next time, I hope they give him the due diligence he deserves, not this reshot, rewritten Frankenstein corpse. Anyway, I hate Taurus's suit, and is she staring directly into camera? I'm scared. To summarize, for the story I give this a 1 out of 5. Brave New World has a thematically bland, forgettable narrative structured like a mystery with already revealed and underwhelming payoffs. For the action, I give this a 4 out of 5. Most of the hand-to-hand fights were meh to me, with the exception of the fight with Sidewinder, but the flight set pieces were great. For the characters, I give this a 2 out of 5. I like Sam and I like Isaiah, but for being Cap's partner, Taurus is still unremarkable. I also like this woman, but I literally don't know what her name is because the movie underutilizes her, and they should have cut Ruth. All right, I'm putting this on the tier list. I have 4 tiers. The excellent ones, I'll put that in yes, God, that tier. Yes, God. The good ones, that's just fierce. That's fierce. The meh ones, I'll put that in aight. And the terrible ones, I'll put that in no, girl. Captain America Brave New World is gonna be in the no, girl tier. Bless her. That said, these are my opinions, and if you disagree, you are always welcome to please tell me in the comments down below, but politely and kindly. Let's not get messy. This is all silly. We're talking about superhero movies. Nobody has to punch anybody, all right? Nobody's life is at stake. Be kind. Let's discuss it, but don't be mean. Next up is Thunderbolts. Before I continue, I just want to say if you're still enjoying this video, please consider leaving a like or maybe even subscribe. I am a small channel and that would help me out a lot. Thank you. Unlike Brave New World, Thunderbolts had the advantage of being developed after Marvel decided to get their shit together. And it's evident because this movie is not only one of the best out of the bunch this year, but it's also one of the best films of the entire MCU. One of the criticisms people had for the MCU in the past was the extensive and sometimes unnecessary use of CGI, so there was an emphasis on using real locations for this movie and practical stunts. There's also the criticism of superhero movies always having big, explosive CGI-heavy final acts, so this movie instead does a more emotional, less punchy third act finale. Yes, the box office is a shame, but that's not entirely the movie's fault, alright? This movie would have made boatloads of money had it been released during the MCU's peak, but this is 2025, and not only is this cast made up of mostly B characters not many people know about, except for Bucky, but movie theater prices are insane, China is no longer that into American films, and most people have just tuned out of superhero films, sadly. But no matter, Thunderbolts is still one of the best movies of the genre, I dare say. With a decided focus on character and theme, it tackles the concept of mental health, friendship, community, and a person's relationship with himself.
Daddy, I'm so alone. I don't have anything anymore.
Thematically, narratively, this movie is so superior to Brave New World, it's weird to think they came out of the same franchise, let alone released right after each other. Whereas Brave New World was, in its final form, a chopped-up remix of concepts of a movie held together by rewrites and tape, Thunderbolts is a cohesive story with a clear perspective and point. The characters are all clearly in the film for narrative relevance and thematic purpose. They're all there for a reason, and they all have something to do. There is no one like Taurus, or like Ruth, or like this wonderful lady here, who are all either just unremarkably bland as a character, or should have been cut, or should have been given more to do. Well, actually, if I have one complaint about this movie, it's that Taskmaster should have been given more to do, and not killed so grimly and unceremoniously. That is my one complaint. I will fight for that. But, you know, whatever. Still, though, her death did fit into the film's tone, and it did show what was probably going to be Yelena's future had she not changed her path in life. She and Taskmaster came from a similar background, controlled by the same monster. They both escaped, but their traumas are still haunting their life and their choices. If Yelena never changed her path, she would have died just like Tasky. Just like that. Quick and uneventful, as if she was just a nobody dying underground and unthought of. That is the similar thread that connects all these characters. They are, one way or another, losers and nobodies, in the sense that if Val succeeded killing them in the incinerator, the world would probably be better off without them. But together, they collectively decide that they want to be better. And it's so heartwarming. Because these characters are such losers, they're all underdogs in a way, so it's really easy to root for them and like them despite how assholey they can be. The fact that this movie got me to like John Walker and appreciate his development is a testament to the writing and Wyatt Russell's acting, because he was so easy and fun to hate in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I wanted to punch that guy in that show, but not in Thunderbolts. He still probably deserves the punch, but I wouldn't want to do it anymore. Bob is great. I love the themes of depression and mental struggles that he and Yelena have. It was deeply relatable and made me really endeared to them. Needless to say, Yelena, fantastic, iconic, mother. I do feel though, and this is me nitpicking now, that this movie could have used a little more action. I love it, and the characters' interactions and the story more than make up for what it doesn't have in explosions and fights. And yeah, if I were making this movie, if I was the director, I would leave it as it is. If I were the writer or the director, I wouldn't change a thing about this movie. It's great, it's perfect to me. But as an audience member, I do think that the lack of action hurt this movie's box office and replayability a little bit. This film is optimistic, but not optimistic in the way that Superman tonally is. They're still both about hope, and I love that. Thunderbolts, though, is more about the struggle of maintaining hope when you feel like a terrible, shitty person, when you're ashamed of who you are, and when you feel like the world you live in is also so terrible and shitty. That is deeply relatable, and the answer this movie gives is by finding people you can endure it with and want to be better for. I'll give this movie a 5 out of 5 for its story. It was thematically resonant and a needed reminder of what superhero films can be. I'll give it a 4 out of 5 for the action. There's not a lot here, but that's intentional. But I do enjoy the set pieces we have. Still though, I would have loved some insane Yelena hand-to-hand fights. She is a Black Widow assassin, and more action would have helped with the replayability for general audiences. For the characters, I'll give this movie a 4.5 out of 5. Love them all. I am probably alone in this, but I want more Julia Louis-Dreyfus in the MCU. I am campaigning for more Val. The imperfect score is for Tasky, though. I will put this movie in the yes god tier. James Gunn's The Suicide Squad is one of my favorite films of all time, alright? So yeah, I was looking forward to his take on Superman, but it wasn't anything that I was hyped for. I was like, alright, that's gonna happen, and I'm going to watch it, I guess. Alright, that'll be fun. That is until I saw the first trailer. That trailer brought such a bright promise of hope in terms of what the movie's tone was going to be and what kind of Superman this new one was going to be. It set up incredibly high expectations for me, and they were not only met, but some of my expectations were exceeded. I think this is not only one of the best films of the year, but also one of the most needed. Superman's message of kindness and hope and radical optimism is just so important and relevant in today's world. James Gunn made Superman modern without compromising his classic character traits. The writing worked so well in making Superman or Clark Kent a believable, realistic person living in today's world without making drastic changes to him, without making him edgy or grounded, and by going back to his classic good guy traits.
You trust everyone and think everyone you've ever met is, like, beautiful.
Maybe that's the real punk rock.
I literally said out loud, fuck yeah, the first time I heard that line in the theater. This movie leaned into his silliness, which is very savvy, because this goofy, silly type of personality is so beloved and welcomed these days. Especially, you know, for the TikTok crowd. They love this. There are a lot of fantastical, comic booky things about this movie, in tone and aesthetic, like Crypto, Guy's hair, Mr. Terrific's chair, a fucking kaiju. And yet, in principle, the main conflict Superman is facing is so relatable to the conflicts we, as people in the real world, are facing. Countries invading other countries, displacing natives and ruining lives, colonialism, tech billionaires fucking up the earth. These are things we are facing in our world. It's easy to see this movie as this bright piece about a flying alien beating up monsters, but it's a really earnest and sincere attempt at inspiring us to keep hoping. In the end, people are saved because Superman inspired other heroes to stand up for the greater good. Charming main character, good writing, and solid narrative theme aside, I think it's also about time the MCU got some good competition. Not to beat the dead horse of the old DCEU, but like, on a cultural and commercial level, they did not reach Marvel's status of relevance and success. I mean, the Justice League movie, you know, the big hero team-up that should be the heavy hitter of the franchise, literally made just about the same money as Ant-Man and the Wasp. That is bad. But Superman 2025 made more money in the box office than all of the Marvel films this year. Which is a shame, again, because I think Thunderbolts should have made a lot more money. They did my girl dirty, they did her wrong. But yeah, it's about time Marvel gets some decent competition, because the lack of that, the lack of good competition, has led them down a sometimes careless path in terms of quality. Good competition will only give us, the fans, more good movies. Superman and Brave New World are the most action-packed of the superhero films we got this year, and the action in Superman is good. They were all fun. I like that the Superman gets beat up a lot. Fights are always more impactful when there's a fair struggle. I much prefer this one than, you know, that thing where he was just solving everything and beating everything in Justice League. That was cool for 10 seconds and then it just got boring. The whole cast is great, but Nicholas Hoult as an evil bald man, one of his all-time best performances. I loved this one, and it's a bright direction for DC's future. For story, I give this one a 5 out of 5. Yes, I'm a punk rocker, yes I am. To kindness! I give the action a 4 out of 5. I have no notes, but I've heard some people say they wish the film had more action, so the one is for them. Characters, 4.5 out of 5. I liked everyone, but that 0.5, that's for Eve, because I liked her, but I feel some weird vibes over how this movie and Jimmy Olsen treated her. Tonally, from the movie itself, there was some weird vibes. Could be nothing, could be just my interpretation wrong, but there are weird vibes that I'm getting that I can't ignore. Loved her, though. I will put this movie in the yes god tier. Fantastic Four First Steps was a good movie, and it certainly had the best intentions at heart, but I still wanted more from it. I am glad for the charming aesthetic. I love the visual choices made in the film. The entire sequence of the team going up to space to talk to Galactus had some of the most stunning, captivating shots of the MCU. The Giger biomechanical alien aesthetic, the color palette, I loved it. Not to mention the chase sequence afterwards with the Silver Surfer pursuing the team was so thrilling. That was so good, I wish we had more of that. And that's the thing. I wish this movie had more action. Because, well, yes, I am glad that watching the film, you can tell they made the choice to focus on character for this movie rather than action, and that would have been fine if the character moments were good, but they were, for the most part, boring. Remember what I said about Thunderbolts? And the characters' interactions and the story more than make up for what it doesn't have in explosions and fights? Well, that's not the case for this movie, because there's really not a lot of meaningful development or gripping character growth that happens for any of the leads. Like if you cut out a lot of Ben's scenes, nothing in the movie would change. Heck, I liked Ben, loved him, in fact, I'm so into his voice and his calmness. But if you cut him, the entire character out of the movie, barely anything would change. There's a lot of internal conflict happening with the individual members of the Thunderbolts. These people start out as a mess, and they grow to be a little less of a mess by the end. If Sentry appeared at the start of Thunderbolts, and these people had to deal with him, without the development the movie gives them, they would lose. They needed the emotional growth and the bond to win this movie. They're all changed by the story. In Fantastic Four, it feels like the heroes don't change or grow at all. If there are arcs for them, it's incredibly subtle. A huge part of the conflict is whether or not they would give up the baby, and it just feels incredibly pointless and without stakes, because of course they wouldn't. Reed considers it, but it never feels like a believable thing that can happen. It is still occasionally a fun, entertaining movie, and I love the principle of focusing on character work, but it wasn't as well done in this one as it was in Thunderbolts. So yeah, if you're gonna focus on character, it better be good. But it was, in Fantastic Four First Steps, at best, okay. I wish Mr. Fantastic got to stretch more. I wish I saw Ben punching shit more. I won't refuse if you give me more Sue, but I'm very satisfied with her in this movie. But what I'm trying to say is, I wish this film showcased their powers more. That said, I did really enjoy the two fights we had. For the story, I give this a 3.5 out of 5. I love the concepts, but I wish they were executed better. For the action, I give this movie a 3.5 out of 5. The two we got were cool, but I wish they were longer. Or I wish they give us other fight scenes. The characters get a 3 out of 5. I like the cast, I really do. I think they're all great. I wish they got more development. I wish the script gave them more to work with. I will put this movie on the slay tier, because I like the intentions and the visuals are great. But if I had one extra inconvenience today, like if I stubbed a toe earlier, or if like they got my food order wrong, then this movie would be lower. That is the vibe. Now let's rank these films in order. In 4th place, there is Brave New World, obviously. In 3rd place, we have Fantastic Four, First Steps. Now this is where it gets tricky because I love these two films a lot, but I told myself that I'd do this ranking, so here it is. Superman is in 2nd place, and Thunderbolts is in 1st. Mostly because I feel like Thunderbolts is structured a little bit better than Superman, just a little bit better, and this is nitpicky now, and it doesn't really matter because I love them both a lot, and they're really good, and I'm just so glad that I got them both this year. You know what I mean? Like, more cake for everyone. I really hope that 2025 is a good sign that superhero movies are moving into a new era, where character and quality storytelling are put in the forefront. I don't care if we get less superhero films if it means they get to work on them harder and make them better. Fine by me, I'll take it, yeah. With the Disney Plus shows, the MCU kind of spread itself too thin, and I do not want to see that happen again. Please, no. What about you? What did you think of these movies? Did you like them? Did you hate them? What is your ranking? Is it different from mine? Please tell me in the comments down below. I would like to know. That is it for me. I'm out.